Hello and welcome again. You already know that you can call functions. What initiates a function call is the function operator, a pair of parentheses occasionally including a number of arguments. Apart from this, is a function any different from values such as numbers, strings or objects? If we apply the type of operator to a function, we get function as a type. Not much of a surprise. But if a function is just considered a value of a certain type, then we might assign it to a variable as well. JavaScript will not complain about this, and applying the function operator to this variable, we are able to call the function. In fact, we have just given the function an additional name. But if a function is just a variable, then we can pass it as an argument to a function and even return a function from a function, right? To verify our assumption, we test the following code. First, we write a function add, which adds two numbers and prints out the result. Next, we add a function calculate, which requires three arguments. To the first parameter, f, we apply the function operator and pass the remaining arguments a and b. We now call the calculate function and pass the add function and the summands as arguments. Same result as before. But what is the benefit of this approach? Well, calculate is a more general function. If we pass, for example, a divide function as an argument, we can also perform divisions or any operation expecting two arguments. The passed function can extend the functionality of the called function. The result of this approach is a deferred function call. The second example shows a function returning a function. We write a function value requiring one argument. This function then returns a function which itself returns the argument. Next, we call this function, passing a value of 42 as an argument and store the result in the variable called v42. This variable now references a function, and calling this function returns the previously passed value. What we have just created is a so-called closure. It is created by a function returning a function. The passed value as well as all local variables are enclosed in the function, which means that the function's environment is saved. The enclosed values are encapsulated, which means that they are not visible from outside the function. In computer science, one is talking of first-class functions, if functions may be assigned to variables, if they may be passed as arguments to functions, and may be returned from functions. Now let's switch to a practical example, the sorting of arrays. JavaScript already knows how to sort simple arrays using the arrays sort method. But how should we sort a table consisting of different columns? The answer is by passing a function to the sort method. For the table, we reuse the one shown in a previous video on HTML and turn its content into a JavaScript array. This table consists of an array of three objects. Note that we use JavaScript objects for collections of so-called properties, consisting of pairs of name and value. Curly brackets are used to initialize the objects. Names and values are separated by colons. The pairs are separated by commas. We now pass a function to the sorting method. This function is internally called for any two records and is expected to return a negative value if A comes first, a positive value if B comes first, and 0 if the sorting values are equal. To sort the table's latitudes in ascending order, we dereference the latitude's values from the records, calculate the difference, and return that value. To sort the latitude in descending order, just exchange A and B, or negate the return value. To sort strings, use the strings compare function. Pretty simple. Whatever objects you need to sort, a single method along with an accessor function will do the job. Many of the numerous array methods do accept function parameters, be it for searching, iterating, mapping, filtering, or reducing array elements. The array is just one of several JavaScript's built-in objects. You will refer to JavaScript objects when you need to create and manipulate collections of properties. Whenever you need to manipulate text strings, consult JavaScript's string object. Furthermore, for mathematical calculations, such as for example trigonometric functions, you will be using the math object. Similarly, calculations with date and time is much simplified by using the date object. Finally, there are regular expressions which constitute a text pattern matching language of its own. For comprehensive information about available JavaScript objects, their methods, and how to use them in particular, you will need to switch to web resources such as the Mozilla Developer Network (MDN). You have certainly noticed the important role that functions play in JavaScript. Though JavaScript inherits much from other languages and supports other programming styles, functional programming is one of the most powerful features of the JavaScript programming language.